This unique museum is part of an educational center, part nostalgic tribute, and fully dedicated to preserving one of America's cherished pastimes.
It's no secret I love to hunt with handguns and have for a very, very long time.
What's going on here? Speed it up, speed up, speed it up.
Welcome to A Sportsman's Life. We're so glad you tuned in to join us for another exciting real-world outdoor adventure right here on A Sportsman's Life. During a recent trip to Hayward, Wisconsin, I had the chance to visit the Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame, a destination that celebrates the history, culture, and passion behind freshwater angling. Nestled in the scenic Northwoods, this unique museum is part of an educational center, part nostalgic tribute, and fully dedicated to preserving one of America's cherished pastimes. The first thing that caught my eye was the giant fiberglass Musky towering over the grounds. This massive structure, over 4 stories high and stretching 143 feet long, is not just a sculpture. It's a walk-in observation deck. I climbed up inside the fish and enjoyed a panoramic view of Hayward, making for a fun and unforgettable start to the visit. Inside the hall, I explored several well-curated exhibits, from antique lures and rods to modern innovations. The evolution of fishing gear was both fascinating and hands-on. There were sections dedicated to legendary catches and record-breaking fish, complete with photos, stories, and exact stats that would impress even the most seasoned angler. One of the most inspiring parts of the museum was the Hall of Fame itself. Plaques lined the walls honoring those who have made major contributions to the sport, whether through record-setting fish, conservation, or lifelong dedication to promoting freshwater fishing. Reading their stories added a personal human element that made the sport feel even more meaningful. The museum also does a great job of educating visitors. I spent time learning about various fish species, their habitats, and how they've influenced local and national fishing cultures. Outside, the grounds are peaceful and beautifully maintained. Walking the paths lined with angler memorials, I paused by a small lake where a few visitors were quietly casting lines. It reminded me that fishing isn't always about trophies. It's about being present, being patient, and connected to nature. Before leaving, I stopped by the gift shop to pick up a souvenir and reflect on the experience. Whether you're a lifelong fisherman or just curious about the sport, the Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame offers something for everyone. It's a tribute not only to the fish we catch, but to the stories, the memories, and community that form around them. My visit was both informative, deeply nostalgic, and it left me eager to get back to the water myself. Well, friends, welcome to Hayward, Wisconsin. We are at the Moccasin Bar. A lot of history here. This place was actually owned by the Hams family at one point in time, and let's take a look inside. This is a lot of fun. Come on, let's go look. Brought to you by Dallas Safari Club, Conservation, Education, and Hunter Advocacy. Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable. Taurus Firearms, maker of the Raging Hunter. Stealth Vision, high-tech, precision-driven equipment tailored for the modern hunter.
It's no secret I love to hunt with handguns and have for a very, very long time. Used to use a lot of single shots. Went to also at the same time, I guess I was really shooting a lot of revolver things as well too. Back then, primarily single action. That means that you have to cock the hammer before you can pull the trigger. These days, I'm using Taurus's Raging Hunters. These are double action, which means I can cock the hammer and pull the trigger, or I can just pull the trigger and the hammer comes back and the shot goes off. Now, the reason I brought these three out, this happens to be a 454, a 357, and a 44 mag. I happen to really love the 44 mag, as well as a 454 Kazoo. Taking a lot of animals with a 44 mag and quite a few with that 454 Kazoo. I carry a 357 every once in a while. To me, this is kind of an expert's gun because it doesn't quite have the downrange energy that the 44 or the 454 Kazoo do. There's all kinds of ways to sight or put sights on these. In this instance, with this 454, I've got some hunts coming up where it's going to be really close cover. So there's really no need to have any kind of sights on it, talking about beyond the sights that come on it. Now there's a Picatinny rail there, which makes it really easy to mount any kind of sight on if you want to, beyond the original factory iron sights. With this 357, it just happens to have a red dot scope, and this is a 3-minute of angle red dot scope. That means at 100 yards, that red dot covers 3 inches. It's very quick acquisition as well too. If I were going to be shooting a little bit longer range, almost beyond my feet, we're going to be using that open sight gun to hunt hogs with dogs, so we're going to be really close. If I were going to be sitting on a bait or something like that, or a spot and stock, and I knew that my shots were going to be, say 30, 40, 50 yards or so, I would go with the red dot sight, if you will. You can make it brighter during the daylight time, and as the evening comes or the early morning light, you make that dot a little bit smaller. There's a rheostat on these. This happens to be a Trigicon. I think this is probably an SRO, but do that. Now, for years in the past, I shot a lot of handguns with scopes on them. So with my 44 mag, I use this one a lot. With that scope, it's an old Simmons scope. Now, somebody frequently asks, or frequently I do get asked, what's the best scope out there? If you can find one of the old Thompson Centers, and I lied to you, this is an old Thompson Center scope, going back to probably the last century, if you will. Same thing with the old Simmons scope. None of the scopes on the market today, to me, are as tough or have better eye relief, meaning I don't have to trombone that gun to see where the full value of what that scope can do. This happens to be a 2.5 to 7. Very seldom I've ever shot more than about 5 magnification on it, but very precise shot placement if I'm going to shoot, say, 50 to 100 yards. Feel very comfortable with my 44 mag, using always Hornady ammo, and this particular gun dearly loves the 240 grain XTP Custom. This gun, the 454 Kazoo, really likes the 300 grain XTP Hornady Custom, and with those, I can, at 100 yards with both these guns, from a reasonable rest, I can shoot far less than a 3-inch group. If I really concentrate on a solid bench somewhere with a good set of sandbags, I can generally put them in a less than a 1-inch group at 100 yards. And that tells you what these guns are capable of. They shoot a whole lot better than what I do. So get yourself a handgun. I highly recommend the Taurus Raging Hunters, either in a 44 mag, a 357 mag, or this gun right here, the 454 Kazoo. And if you're concerned a little bit about the recoil, you can always switch to using just plain old 45 Colt ammo. Handgun hunting, you're gonna love it.
A Sportsman's Life is also brought to you by Mossberg, American built, American strong. The YO Steakhouse, Catch and Release Apparel, Pyramid Air, your one-stop shop for everything air guns.
Hey guys, Captain Chris here from Striper Express Guide Service on A Sportsman's Life. A tip I'd like to give you for this summer is we are burning these slabs, and basically that's just taking a slab spoon, guys, and finding these fish located in the deep water. Tend to find them anywhere from 50 to 90 foot deep, but when you really are catching them is when they're about 15 to 45 foot down. If they're 40 or 50 foot down, they can be a little questionable. But one thing I want to talk about, so we're dropping the slabs as fast as you can, and you reel it up as fast as you can. Well, when that fish hits it, it likes to pull you down. And people are real bad about letting the tip be in the water. And I'm always saying, tip up, because what'll happen is we get in these fish and we're really catch them good, and everybody thinks they can give them the BASS shuffle, you know, flip them over the side of the boat. And if you really know, stroppers are a heavy, strong fish. And if you're gonna do that, you need to let the tool do all the work. What I see is people all the time, like happened this morning on this broke rod. I have too many fish going on, and instead of waiting for me to get there with the net or using the whole tool, they'll grab a pole right here, guys, and then you lose all your power and bend, and you pick up that fish and you snap that pole right in half. When, if you just would have used the whole pole and picked it up over the side of the boat, much better chance of success, or just wait for your captain to get there with the net. Anyways, guys, I'm just trying to keep the rods from being broke and the rods staying bent. So we'll see you out on the water in Lake Texoma. This is Captain Chris signing out.
If you're looking for the best way to bring game to the table, check out Vineyard Max Deer Products at vineyardmax.net or find them on Instagram and Facebook. While in the Northwoods, I took the opportunity to get out on the water and chase some muskies with my nephew Rick and his friend Aaron, both of whom are truly muskie experts. Although today's trip didn't result in any strikes or fish, the experience was still priceless. There's something special about sharing the water and the pursuit of these elusive giants with your family and friends. Both Rick and Aaron, with their years of experience, shared some great tips and stories and kept the energy high despite the quiet bite.
So one thing we try to make a big effort to do is make sure our hooks are sharp. It seems like even weeds might dull them sometimes if you're not snagging stuff. But you want to kind of check it with your thumbnail, and if it sticks, they're good. If that one's good, that one's good. And then that one is actually pretty good. We're digging. And then you just want to just touch them up like a little bit, you know, so a little check. All it takes, you see a lot of people just grinding on the hooks, but if your hook's in good shape and it's not blunted, you can just kind of tap it. Like tap it, and like you're just making sure that burr is there to really bury them, because they have cement mouths. So, Jeff, you're all set. That should
All set,
be
huh?
sticky.
All right, beautiful.
Be sticky.
Get back
Yeah.
to fishing.
Every hour or so we try to do a drag check, try to do a hook check, you know, make sure everything's still really sharp, because they're cement mouth. Tough to get hooks into, especially the big ones.
Even though we didn't land a fish on this trip, both Rick and Aaron shared a few incredible videos from their recent muskie adventures, showcasing some impressive catches and the thrill of the chase. These clips remind us that the patience is the key to muskie fishing. Sometimes the biggest rewards come after multiple trips and steady persistence. So I'm talking with Rick Rice, and we're talking about muskies today here on A Sportsman's Life. And Rick and his friend Aaron, these guys are muskie experts. And in this video, it's pretty interesting. I think Aaron catches a nice muskie here, but some important tips relative to making sure you're prepared to be able to get a fish in. And there's some things Aaron does very right in this video. And what are those things, Rick? Tell us what's going on here.
Well, as you can see here, he's just kind of leading, trying to stay ahead of the muskie and keeping the line tight. And you can see him walking around the boat here and kind of like walking it like a dog and just keeping the control, keeping the muskie in his control. Like they can just go wherever they want usually, but if you can just keep that tension and kind of just guide them where you want and kind of tire them out and get them to where you're able to net them. That's kind of a key for that.
He walked it right into that net almost. I mean, that he stayed on it, kept the line tight, and didn't let that muskie go off in a different direction. He kind of led it almost into that net.
Yep. Big chunker, dude. Heck yeah.
Big chunk of fish.
You get the bump and I'll get a photo, or do you want to go first?
Rick, this particular clip looks like you had a nice one on there, and all of a sudden it's off. What happened there?
Well, it hit right next to the boat, and I kind of got handcuffed there. I ran out of room. I was trying to lead it along like we had talked about, and I just kind of ran out of room with the steering console there, and she got off. It's just kind of how it happens sometimes. Sometimes there's really not much you can do about it.
Well, Rick, this particular fish, it looks like that's on here. A lot of chaos going on in the boat, but one thing is for sure, you guys get great video, and it's really, to me, it looks important for everybody in that boat to have a GoPro on their head like you guys do, and that allows you to get the footage that you guys do. And if there's someone out there looking for a tip on how to capture good video, what's your tip? I mean, I think you guys loop your videos and that kind of thing, but what's the tip you would give someone to, that wanted to start capturing their videos when they're musky fishing like that?
Yeah, we use a hat-mounted GoPro, as you probably can see in some of these videos. But I think that really helps to capture your view of what you're seeing. Which one on you? Speed it up, speed it up, speed it up.
Speed it up. Yep, got it. Attaboy.
That's a nice fish. Bring it around this way if you can. So I noticed this wake behind the bait, and I kind of just tell him to speed up a little bit, and you can see that the muskie missed it the first time and then comes back. The speeding it up kind of gave it that instinct that the meal was getting away, and it really caused it to be aggressive and attack.
Almost triggered the strike right there. I mean, just by making that extra little, speed up the lure or twitch it one way or the other, it just makes it look more natural.
100%.
Yeah. Very interesting. Nice fish.
So you can see this fish coming in from the side of my bait, and it hits from the right of the bait, from my right, towards the bait, and as you can see me set the hook kind of back against the grain into its mouth. And that's really what you want to do. If you can see which direction they're coming from, it's really to your benefit to set the hook against that grain to really bury the hooks.
Yeah, in essence, it's like you're not pulling it out of its mouth, you're almost pulling it into its mouth. Yeah.
Exactly. A lot of components to this musky fishing stuff.
Yeah, that's the the interesting thing as we wrap up here. I mean, there's so many important things that one has to do to be a successful musky fisherman, and you add all those things up, and if you were to spend some time with somebody trying to educate them on musky fishing, I guess the one thing would be that you'll spend hours and hours and hours for that one moment.
Yep.
And that one moment doesn't last long. My guess is that you really need to be focused 100% of the time. Don't let your guard down ever, because it may be your first cast of the day. You catch that fish.
Yep.
It may be
your last.
It may be your last cast. Exactly.
Or anywhere in between.
Or
You never
anywhere
know.
in between. You never know. And if you're not paying attention and you're not focused, that you may lose. You may lose that opportunity to catch that fish. Right. I mean.
Exactly. And like we talked about, the hours we spend, we go out for 8 hours. It could be for 15 minutes in the middle of the day. It could be 15 minutes right in the beginning of the day. 15 minutes anywhere in the time frame where you're out there is when they're actively feeding. And you have to be ready for that, and you don't necessarily know when it's going to be.
Well, I appreciate your time, Rick, and thanks for joining us here on the show today. And good luck to you and Aaron out there catching muskies. And man, I tell you what, it's just fun and exciting to go out with you guys, and it's fun and exciting to watch all your videos, and keep them coming. I look forward to you coming back and joining us on another episode in the future and showing us some of the videos of some of the big monsters you guys catch.
Yeah, thank you. It's always a pleasure.
Folks, this segment was brought to us by Gearhead Archery, Smoke Intex Electric Smokers, Snaplock Hunting Blinds, YO Ranch Headquarters, Ultramatic Feeders, and Catfish Pro. Tune in next week for some more real-world outdoor adventures right here on A Sportsman's Life.